Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to another edition of the PreStream podcast. It seems like the camera keeps rotating in one direction, doesn't it? Like, it seems like... Now am I in the center? Hold on. Maybe like that. That's a little better, I think. It's probably exactly how we started, isn't it? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the PreStream podcast. Today is Sunday, April 17th, 2022, and I welcome you to the show. I welcome you to yet again another full day of gameplay streaming. How you doing? And yet again, we have another new overlay for today. This overlay is inspired by the fact that I've been talking recently about my desire to go back to the past and play games from my childhood that I absolutely love from the SNES era. And I've even alluded to the fact that perhaps this summer, when things slow down a lot with gaming, that we would actually play some of these games. Now, I don't know how I would actually play these yet. I haven't really looked into the availability of classic SNES games. I know that some of them would be available if I did the Nintendo Online subscription. I think Link to the Past is available on Switch that way. I don't know about Chrono Trigger. I don't think Chrono Trigger's on there. So I'd have to try to figure out a way to play Chrono Trigger. I don't even know how I would do that at this point. If you remember, nearly a decade ago, I did what was called the Summer of Retro. Okay? And during the Summer of Retro, I played a series of retro games over the course of like June, July, August. And I did it as like almost like a marathon, non-stop retro games. And usually back then I didn't do stuff like that. Usually back then it was more new games and then maybe a little bit of retro stuff if there was nothing going on. But that summer in particular, I remember, was really, really dead. The previous summer, I had done my Grand Theft Auto marathon, which is Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. And people had been hoping that I would find, something as epic as that to do the next summer. It didn't happen, obviously, because I decided to do these kind of retro games. I said, hey, instead of playing the games from your past, you guys, let me play games from my past and share with you these original experiences that I really enjoyed back in the day, and let me show you how much I liked them. So I remember that summer in particular, for two reasons. Number one, because it was actually the first major time when I used emulation. These games were not readily available on any real consoles back then. I think that you could have gotten some of them on, like, I'm trying to think, 2013, was that the Wii U yet? Yeah, it was. So I think you could have gotten some of them on the Wii U, like the digital Nintendo store. Excuse me. If you remember, on the Wii U, it had a virtual Wii. So it had like an emulated Wii, so you could download games both for the Wii U or the Wii to be played on the Wii U. And so, I had the availability of doing that, but most of these games you had to play on like an emulator if you really wanted to play them well for like capturing and streaming. And so I remember that was the first time I really was using an emulator for months on end, and I remember that there were some technical issues and problems where it would crash and have issues. But at the same time, it was fun. It was. To go back and play the classics, you know. The other thing I distinctly remember about that summer is that I had a ton of fun. I did. Not so much the viewers, okay? And what I mean by that is that back in the day, again, it was more about appeasing a YouTube audience, appeasing people who wanted to watch your videos and basically give you ad revenue. Because that's how I made money back then. It wasn't like today where we have interactive streams and we talk and we have good, shout outs and social interaction and all of that. That was never a part of the content back then. Back then it was very much, I record, I upload, you watch, I make money on the ads. That's how I make a living. That was my income back then, okay? So, back then, if I was playing something that didn't necessarily appeal to most of my viewing audience on YouTube, I would hear about it in droves, everyone would complain, and my views would tank, okay? And I particularly remember that summer, I'm trying to think of the order I did it. It was Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, when I was doing that, I was also doing a co-op playthrough of Super Mario World with John Rambo on the weekends, okay? Which I believe took 2 weekends. It was either 2 or 3 weekends. And then I played Chrono Trigger. I played Earthbound. And wasn't there one more? I swear there was one more retro game, too. It was like 4 or 5 retro games from my past that I all played kind of back-to-back over this, what I called the Summer of Retro. Okay? Basically didn't do well. The views were low. Everyone complained, and it was basically an incredibly slow summer for me because of it. However, for those who did watch those playthroughs, people really enjoyed them. Even though it was way less than my usual viewer base, the people who watched them really appreciated them because they realized, oh, this is a lot different from the kind of content that Phil normally puts out. Normally, when Phil puts out content, it's his first time experience with a new game. It's him failing at a game and raging and stuff like that, while these playthroughs were very different. It was games I had already played from my past. I had innate knowledge of the game and gameplay and the stories and everything because I had played them multiple times over my youth. And to see me play a game like this, that it's a classic, and I love it, and I'm enjoying every moment of it, and I'm having a great time with it, and I know some of the secrets and the tricks and the things as I'm playing through them. It was a different me, essentially. Back then, 10 years ago, I was kind of playing a character in a lot of my videos. It was the guy who constantly makes fun of the games he's playing, slams the game developers, makes stupid sexualized or generalized racial comedy kind of comments constantly. You know what I mean? It was a very different time for me back then, before I kind of did the reboot of myself and my content over 5 years ago. It was definitely a different era for Darkside Phil, that's for sure. Okay? So, that being said, all right, since then, and this has been, a 10-year deal, I really lay back from playing the classics, even though I love them, and I used to, before I was a YouTuber, and before I was a content creator on the internet, all right, I was a person who every couple of years would go back to these games, like Final Fantasy 4 and 6, which were called 2 and 3 when I played them on the Super NES, Earthbound, Chrono Trigger, Zelda, Mario. These are, in my mind, these are like timeless classics that I could go back at any point and replay them and have a really great time with them. And I used to play them every like 2 years or so as a nice refresher course on those games, and I just really enjoyed it. And, whether it was playing it on a console itself or on a handheld version or an emulated version, whatever it may be, okay? And I really enjoyed doing that. But then when I became a YouTuber, it was like, well, it seems like there's just not really a desire to see the classics. And that actually did sadden me, because that summer I was hoping people would maybe be turned on to the classics and say, oh, well, that's interesting. That's something different. We haven't seen anyone play these yet. And to see someone who's a content creator who we enjoy play the classics, okay? Actually, this would be like, not necessarily eye-opening, but more like exposure to something that maybe you wanted to see where the modern stuff came from, and you'd say, oh, I'm interested in this now, or something like that. Really, it didn't work. What happened was, a lot of people complained, never do that again. I'm serious. At that time, this was about 10 years ago. Things were very different back then. People were like, never do that again. If you're going to do something retro, just do one. Never do a series in a row like that, because we were very disappointed that for like 2 months, all you did was retro stuff. And a lot of people actively said, we're going to leave your channel. I'm serious about this too. I'm not over exaggerating. People were like, we're leaving your channel and we'll come back when you decide to come back to new content, because we're just not digging this. Okay? And it was disheartening. It absolutely was. Because I was really hoping that would be an opportunity to maybe say, hey, everything that I play entertains my audience. They're more there for me than for the game itself. Okay? And if anything, what I knew then was that there was a formula that people liked. And that formula was me play the new hot games, right? Put out the playthroughs as quickly as possible. Do that kind of silly commentary on it. Rage at the game, insult the game devs. That was all the thing that I did back then. And basically, that was it. Like, if I wanted to try to branch out and do other stuff, I mean, the most branching out that I was really able to do was either the co-op stuff once a week or vlogging. And vlogging was dramatically different than the gameplay. You know, doing a wrestling commentary show or doing DSP Tries It or whatever. Very different style of content than what I was doing with the gameplay. But I was really hoping that it would catch on with a different kind of gameplay, and it didn't. Okay? So you may have noticed that over the years, okay, I really don't play retro games that much. And when I say retro, I mean that kind of retro, like NES, Super NES, Genesis, the old stuff from my childhood. Very rarely do I really go back and play that stuff. And this is really the reason why. If that summer had gone very differently, likely things would have been different. I would have branched out and would have played a lot more retro stuff and maybe dabbled in retro stuff I never played in. So here's an example. Super Metroid is a game that everyone seems to say the best Metroid game ever made, at least I guess until Metroid Dread came out. Now a lot of people say that's the best Metroid game ever made, but everyone was kind of like, Super Metroid is a super classic, you gotta play it. I actually never really played it. I played the original Metroid. I never played Super. And interestingly enough, when I played it on the Nintendo Online thing here, when I had the Nintendo Online service on my Switch, people seemed to like it, but never really asked for me to go back to it. I played it like once. People thought it was entertaining, but never really was there a big demand to go back. That's what I mean. Like, I probably would have branched out and played more classic stuff over time if people had liked the Summer of Retro. They just really didn't. And I don't want to sit here and dwell on the past and some negative stuff from the past. What I'm saying is, the point I'm making is, I love these games, and it's actually weird that I haven't played them in so long. A decade. I haven't played some of my favorite games. So, I think I might remedy that this summer. But unlike back then, okay, when it was like, oh, the Summer of Retro, everything I do will be a retro game. Likely no. What we will do this summer is we will balance things. I'll likely be doing major playthroughs during the daytime, and then maybe the night streams, we could do some cool retro stuff like Zelda Link to the Past, like Chrono Trigger, like Earthbound. We can alternate those playthroughs as night streams. Now, the good thing is, retro games aren't so long. Let's try that again, because I like had a tongue twister there. Retro games aren't so long. That's what I meant to say. You know, if I'm remembering correctly, because I'm trying to remember, I think Zelda you can beat within like 12 to 15 hours. Chrono Trigger, if you're just going through the main game and you don't do side content, it's actually not a very long game. But if you actually do the hidden optional dungeons and side content in the game, it actually almost doubles in length, I would say. If I remember correctly, there's two major hidden dungeons in the game. It's been so long since I played these games that I'm starting to forget them, which is not good. That's why I want to play them again. You see? So anyway, the point I'm making is they're not very long games. So if I played them during the summertime, I could play them, 2-hour chunks, maybe 2-3 times a week, and within, say, 2-3 weeks, I'll beat them, which is good. It won't be super long, lengthy, lingering playthroughs like seem to happen whenever I play RPGs. You see, these are different kinds of games. They're some of the shorter ones, so that's good. I think that's good. It'll give exposure to these games. It'll allow my current viewing audience, which is very different than my old viewing audience, an opportunity to interact with me when I play these classics, because when I played these 10 years ago, there was zero interactivity. It was just me playing them, and people were watching. There was live streaming back then, but there was no interactivity at all. It was like you were just watching an on-demand video. I wasn't even reading stream chat or really paying attention. It was more about me being focused on the game and making an on-demand video for YouTube, because that's how I made my living. There really was no way to monetize streaming back then, so it was all about the video after the fact, you see? So, that's what I'm thinking about for this summer. I'm thinking that we'll have a summer of retro, but it'll be like retro late nights. And it should be fun to alternate that with other stuff that I'm doing. Who knows? I might still be playing Skyrim then. I'm serious. I might still be playing Skyrim this summer. Okay? So, yeah. Let's see what happens. But I'm excited. I'm very happy that this border was created for me for the PreStream podcast. So shout out to the person who's been making borders for me. I really appreciate that. I love this. I love having this retro vibe. And I love having some of my classics from my childhood up there. That's really, really neat. Okay? So, by the way, now that I went on a huge tangent, happy Easter, everyone. That's right, if you can believe it. Today's Easter Sunday. I didn't even realize it was until last night, neither did my wife. Again, we've been so, busy and crazy with our own lives and stuff going on recently that we don't even realize what day it is. We didn't realize it was our wedding anniversary last week. Yeah, I know, that's bad. And then we didn't realize today was Easter. It's like, we need things to get more calm in our life. Right now, Things have just been so hectic between a million things going on that it's hard to even keep track of what the hell's going on time-wise and everything. In fact, now that I said that, I realized I should probably get a Mother's Day card for my mom this week, because Mother's Day is coming up, and I'm going to put this on my shopping list. Because the way that the mail is in the United States right now, you got to mail stuff like a month in advance if you actually want it to arrive. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. Like, you have to be mailing shit 2 to 3 weeks in advance for it to even have a chance of showing up on time. It's a joke. The USPS here, United States Postal Service, has fallen apart. So anyway, I'm glad that I thought about that. I was like, is there a holiday coming up? Oh yeah, Mother's Day. Oh shit, I put that on my shopping list so I can get the card ahead of time. All right, so anyway, guys. Today is Sunday, April 17, 2022. Happy Easter. For those of you who celebrate it, I hope that you have a safe and fun holiday, however you may celebrate it. Back when I was a kid, yes, I did celebrate Easter with my family. I was raised as a Roman Catholic, so it was a religious holiday for us. We would actually go to church that day, Easter Sunday morning, and there would be a big mass. And then, and hilariously enough, there would always be a ton of people there on Easter. It was like people only went on holidays. They would never go regularly, but they would only go on holidays to church. It's really real genuine effort there. But anyway, what would we do on Easter? Several different things. First of all, when I was younger, we'd have an Easter egg hunt. And it was myself and my cousin would go through the house looking for plastic Easter eggs. And sometimes inside there'd be a piece of candy. Sometimes inside there'd be like a quarter. And if you were lucky, a few of them had $1 in them. So you go through the house looking around and maybe make a few bucks and get a bunch of pieces of candy. Okay? Also, when I was very young, I remember my mom used to get Easter baskets, which was basically a wicker basket with a bunch of either like toys or candy in it. And the candy would last a long time. So it would be like Cadbury cream eggs, usually like a large chocolate bunny, sometimes those peanut butter, like Reese's peanut butter eggs. So basically a whole bunch of candy, and it would be meant to be eaten over time. It wasn't like, oh, my parents get me a basket and I eat all the candy within a week. It was like basically every day I'm allowed one piece of candy, and you get it like usually like as a dessert after dinner or something like that, and it gets rationed out. So that basket, that Easter basket, sometimes would last like a month or two because there's so much in it and it would be stretched out, you see. So there was that, and then food-wise, what would we do? Well, let me think about this. The first thing is that for dinner, well, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. My mom would make what was called an Easter plate, okay? So if you don't know what an Easter plate is, I don't blame you. I think it's an Italian thing. So what it would be is she would take hard salami, and she would take a meat that's called prosciutto, which is also Italian meat, and she would take cottage cheese and hard-boiled egg. Those four key ingredients, okay? And she would cut it up into rectangular strips, all right? Like rectangular long pieces, okay? And you would take those pieces once they were all cut up, and you would stack them on a giant like plate in a ring. So you'd have like an outer ring and then higher rings going all the way up, so it was like a big tower of food, okay? And what it was a finger foods. It was like if you're hungry, you grab a piece of hard-boiled egg, it's good. Or you grab a piece of, salami or whatever you feel like, because it's 4 completely different flavors. Every piece is completely different. And you would make this like the day before Easter, and Easter morning you would take it out, and anyone who was hungry during the day could run and grab a piece and just eat during the day. And you would have this for a few days. It wouldn't last forever because, you can't have food out like that for too long. So you probably eat a lot of it on Easter and put it in the fridge, and then every once a day take it out, eat a little bit more until it's mostly gone. So that was the Easter plate that we used to do. For dinner, traditionally on Easter we would have some kind of ham. And I remember sometimes we had baked ham. Sometimes it was just like a ginormous ham slice. And I don't remember if my mom would fry it or if we would bake that in the... I think we would bake it in the oven. Because I distinctly remember ham with pineapple. So I think my mom would put it in like a big baking pan and bake it in the oven with pineapple and a cherry. And she would baste it. Yeah, I remember now. It was like a cinnamon and the juices of the pineapple, and she would baste the ham while it baked in the oven. I'm remembering all this now for the first time in a very long time. And then sometimes we'd have different kinds of potatoes, like cheesy potatoes. You know how you make scalloped potatoes? Sometimes she would make those with it. Something like that. But usually it was a traditional like Easter ham with some kind of sides. That would be dinner. Now, the one thing that my mom would make that everyone freaks out every time I mention it, I'm going to mention it, okay? Easter plate. Not Easter. I'm failing. I read the chat and it distracted me. Hold on. We're going to start over. Hold on, everyone. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the PreStream podcast for Easter Sunday. Let's try this again. So, my mom would make what was called, and this is so weird, spaghetti cake. Now, one of the reasons why I think it's weird, okay, is because she called it spaghetti cake, but it's made with linguine. It's kind of like when everyone used to call Nintendo games instead of video games in general. You would say every video game was a Nintendo game. Or when everyone just said Coke rather than, oh, there's Coke, there's Pepsi, there's Cola, they would just say Coke. They do this a lot. You could take a word that becomes like a brand. That brand becomes synonymous with the product, even though it's not the same product. So I think she just called it spaghetti cake because it was like everything was spaghetti, even though it was linguine. It was still spaghetti cake. So what is this? And by the way, it's Italian. It's an Italian dish. What it is you boil up about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of linguine, okay? You then combine that with milk and a ton of eggs and a bunch of other seasonings and ingredients, and it gets whipped up essentially into like almost like a pudding-like consistency, like maybe like think about like custard, something like that. And so it becomes this messy gloop, and then you put it into a baking pan. And you add seasonings on top. Like, I know for a fact it was like there was definitely sugar and cinnamon was put on top. I don't remember what else she would put in it, okay? So she would put all this in a big baking pan. Then you would bake it as if you were baking a real cake. I know it's not really a real cake, but you would bake it like a real cake. And then when it came out, the top would be like almost crispy consistency, but underneath would be chewy, gooey pasta in this like baked custard tapioca-like consistency. And let me tell you, I've never eaten anything like this in my life, okay? Seriously? I never had anything like this in my life at all. I remember eating it, and it's weird because you get sweetness on the top. You get crunchiness and sweetness on the top from all the toppings that are put on top, like the cinnamon and the sugar and stuff. And as you eat further down, you distinctly taste pasta. You're going to taste a lot of pasta, but then you get this other flavor from the pudding style stuff in there too. It's just like, let me put it this way. It's weird, but I eventually grew to like it because this was a family tradition we did in the house every year for Easter. The Easter cake, the spaghetti cake, whatever you want to call it. It was a family tradition. And the funny part is, at that time, I never thought anything of it. I thought maybe this is just a regular thing that people do for Easter. And then over time, as I started telling people about my childhood and things that I would do back when I was a kid, and this was one of the family traditions we had, every time that I tell people this, they absolutely freak out and say, what are you, a fucking weirdo? Like, what is that? A spaghetti cake? Who does that? This is the weirdest thing we've ever heard of. Why would you do that? It's disgusting. Well, I'm just telling you from, realistically from my childhood what we would do. So, a couple days ago, I called my parents, okay, and, they were preparing for Easter. And I said, so what are you up to? And my mom's like, oh, well, I'm making dough, and we're going to make some cookies. I said, oh, that's cool. What kind of cookies? And she says, Italian-style cookies. It's the one where you fold over the dough and you put fruit in them. So you put different fruit toppings and things in them. I was like, that sounds delicious. Now, when I was a kid, we used to buy those. She didn't make them. We would buy them from like an Italian bakery. Apparently, all the Italian bakeries in Connecticut went out of business. So you can't even buy Italian cookies anymore. You have to make your own, which is why my mom was going to make them. I was like, that sounds really awesome. I wish I was there to have them. That sounds delicious. And then my mom says, yeah, I got to get all these cookies done because then I got to get the spaghetti cake going. I was like, spaghetti cake? So I'm not crazy. This really happened. She's like, yeah, spaghetti cake. What do you mean? I was like, you realize when I tell anyone about this that they think I'm nuts. And she's like, no, it's traditional Italian food. It was always made in my household when we were growing up. Spaghetti cake every year for Easter. So there you go. I didn't make it up. It's real. And I confirmed with her the ingredients and everything. It was funny because the other day I was actually talking about this on a stream and someone said, would you ever make spaghetti cake? And I'm like, if I was ever to make spaghetti cake, it would definitely be like an oddity. Like, I'm not doing it because I think it's going to be good. I'm doing it just because I want to see what it's like for myself, trying to remember my childhood. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I would get the recipe from my mom and just on a whim try to make it just to see what it would be, you know. I don't know. I don't know how it would be, or how, you know, I remember distinctly the taste of cinnamon and sugar. Of course, I remember like a chewy, gooey pasta that had like a tapioca style taste to it. That's all I really remember. So, I don't know. Anyway, those are some of the, oh, one other Easter tradition. Yes, like kind of like during the week before Easter, we would hard boil a whole bunch of eggs, couple dozen usually. All right, and then we would color them. Now, back then, coloring was interesting. You would have these tablets. I don't know how they do it today. I have no clue. Back then, you would have these little tablets. You would take different cups, and you would fill them with water, and you would take these tablets, and you would dump them in the water. The tablets would dissolve and fizz, and fill that water as dye. It would become a cup of dye, okay? And then what you would need to do, you would actually have these spoons that you would put your egg in. And it was neat. It wasn't just like a regular spoon. It was like a ring of wire, and then it would go up. You would put your egg into the wire, hold it in place, and you would dunk this down into the cup of dye, okay? And you would hold it there for like a minute or two. And depending on how dark you wanted the egg, you hold it in longer. If you want it darker, you hold it in even longer. If you want it lighter, you just hold it in for like maybe a minute. And then you would take it out, and it would be dyed that color. Now, you could actually draw designs on your eggs if you had a wax crayon. What you could actually do is draw polka dots, draw a bunny on it, draw a little squiggly line. You would draw on the egg with the wax crayon. Then you would dip it in the dye, and when you took it out, wherever you drew with the wax crayon would remain white, while everywhere else would be dyed the color that you put it in, okay? So we would, as a family, dye eggs together and get a couple dozen dyed eggs, which is really cool. And then those dyed eggs would actually become the hard-boiled eggs that we used for the Easter plate that I already mentioned. So it was dual use. The kids get something fun to do for Easter, but also you get an Easter plate out of it on the weekend to eat, which is delicious. Pretty cool. I thought it was a nice thing to do. It's funny because now I look back at these things, right? I look back at these times of my childhood, and I'm like, oh, wow, that was neat. It was fun that we did that. I'm happy that my parents did that with me. It was nice that they spent time, and you know, that was probably a lot of work and effort to organize these kind of things with the kid. You know, the Easter egg hunts, the Easter basket, coloring the eggs. Easter was probably a very active time for my parents, planning around, oh, what are we going to do for the kids, right? And it's just funny because when you're young, you just don't realize it. You don't realize that these events are actually probably big planned things that your parents put a lot of time and effort into. But now that I'm older, I appreciate it. I think back and I'm like, that was pretty cool that we did that. I remember drawing little bunnies on the eggs, having a bunny come out, and it was cute. I liked it a lot when I was a kid, you know? So, there we go. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about Easter in particular. What's weird is that they always used to have the Easter bunny at the mall. I think once when I was very small, I went to see the Easter bunny and we took a picture, and I think my mom told me I freaked out and I cried when I was like a kid, a baby. But outside of that, I'm trying to remember. I don't think we ever did anything else in particular. However, there was one very special Easter. Okay, there was one very special Easter. One Easter morning, my cousin and I came downstairs expecting an Easter egg hunt. And there was an Easter egg hunt, but there was something else. There was a bunny. A real live bunny. A Netherlands dwarf rabbit. And we named him Bun E. Rabbit. Yes, he was light brown. And actually, hold on a second. I know this is going to seem weird. But I have a picture of my bunny in a Christmas ornament. I used to hang this ornament on my Christmas tree every year. But we haven't had a Christmas tree in a while since we got Jasper. So there he is. That was my bunny. And yeah, he was introduced to us on Easter morning, one Easter. And pretty awesome. Because he was the best bunny, man. He ran around the house, jumping around like a nut. Full of energy. Didn't particularly like being held too long. If you held him for more than like a couple minutes, he would bite you and try to escape. But he was an awesome rabbit, and he lived a very long time. He lived like 12, 13 years. Like crazy long for a rabbit. And, yeah, so that was really neat. because obviously it was my first major pet. That really was. After that, we did get a second rabbit, and then after that, long after that, we ended up getting some hamsters. And those were the pets that I had when I was a child. And Bunny lasted, like I said, he lasted a really long time. Bunny was awesome. Bunny would be in the cage, and by the way, back then, they didn't have any of these nice humane cages and things that they have anymore. If you bought a cage, it was all like steel, and it was like, it smelled like metal. Like the rabbit would sit on metal. It wasn't like the rabbit would sit on soft bedding and anything. They would be sitting on metal, a metal cage bottom, which now they know is bad for the pets, but back then, that was the only cages they had. We have like a metal tray at the bottom, metal bottom of the cage, and all metal mesh. So, today they're much better. Today the cages, the rabbit will sit on a flat in the bedding, and it's much better for their legs and everything, their paws. But back then it wasn't very, I'll be honest, it just wasn't very good. I even remember that back then you couldn't even really get the fresh hay as often. Like, it was hard to get fresh hay. What they sold were these dehydrated hay blocks that the rabbit would chew on, which is stupid because the rabbit's supposed to be eating fresh hay, but they couldn't really get them to the stores. So back then you had to buy the hay blocks. Today I see all the time, I see these tons of hay. You get the fresh stuff, right? That's healthy for them. Back then you couldn't even get that. So, anyway, I'm not going to sit here and talk about my Bunny all day, but yeah, I'm just kind of reminiscing what Easter passed and all that. It was fun. It was good in my youth to enjoy Easter. Okay. We got a nice Easter morning troll here who just got permanently banned. Amazing. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, what are we doing today? Now that I went on a big segment about Easter, right? Today, we're continuing on with my playthrough of Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. All right? And today we're going to be taking on the Phantom Menace. We actually have been playing the Phantom Menace movie, but oddly enough, we've been playing it for almost an hour, and we've done one story mission that was 5 minutes long. The entire game so far has basically been open world exploration. First, it was the trade ship. Then it was landing on Jar Jar Binks' planet. Then it was going to the underwater city. Then we did the one segment of story for 5 minutes, driving one of the vehicles underwater. And now we're in the city of Naboo. It's like, dude, this is like all open world exploration and no story at all. What's going on? It's very odd that they did it this way because all the other movies before this, the original trilogy, had tons of long story missions, and these are like very short, okay? I don't know why. So, yeah, today we will focus on the Phantom Menace. We'll see how far we get, see if we can beat it. If we do, we'll end up into Attack of the Clones, right? Or it's Attack of the Clones, not Clone Wars was the series based on the movie, but Attack of the Clones is the second movie in the prequel trilogy. So, we'll see what happens. But I'm having a great time with this game. It's chill fun. Re-exploring these movies and experiencing them with all of you as a live audience has been neat. I like the interactivity that we've had during it. Please continue that. Let's keep having conversation. Let's have fun. Let's talk about these movies and your experiences with Lego as well as Star Wars throughout the playthrough. Really lends itself to that because it is more of a chill playthrough than anything else, even though it's a lengthy game, which is why we're playing it as a main game. If I did this as a chill playthrough, I'd probably be doing this for like 2 months. It's a very lengthy game with all 9 episodes. Each, taking roughly 2 to 3 hours, to get through them. So 9 times 3, how long are we going to do this as a chill playthrough? It'll be going on forever, right? That's why it is a main game. But it's definitely a more relaxing game for sure. It's not like crazy attention demanding. If you die, there's no real penalty for it, you see. It's still a lot of fun. And today, actually, I got a code from a viewer last time around, which was awesome, okay? And this viewer has given me a code to unlock a ton of characters, including Emperor Palpatine, the Christmas variant of a few characters, Grand Moff Tarkin, Poggle the Lesser, Newt Gunray, Rats Tyrell, Razor Crest, a bunch of ships, Admiral Holdo, holy crap. There's a ton of characters to be unlocked. I don't know how many of these I want to enter today, but I want to give it a chance. I want to put in these codes and see how they work. So we're going to do that when we boot it up today. We're going to test it out and see, maybe put in a few codes and get a few optional characters. Should be pretty neat. So anyway, yeah, excited for Star Wars today. Skywalker Saga continuing on, Phantom Menace and beyond, right? Now, later tonight on the late stream, oh, how many episodes have I done so far? We did the first 3. Well, we did the original trilogy. So episodes 3, 4, and 5, and now we just started Phantom Menace. We're about an hour into it, but like I said, it's been all open world and almost no story. So that's where we are in it right now. Yes, James, I just mentioned this. I got your email. We're going to enter some of these codes today. Thank you, James, for sending those codes. We're going to try it out. No, I do not have a P.O. box you can send a gift to. I prefer if no one sends me anything. If you are interested in sending me something for any reason, please email me at darksidephil@hotmail.com. We'll talk about what you're interested in, and I'll let you know if it's something that you should do or not. Please don't just send something to my house. It's going to go right in the trash. Sadly, people have tried this over the years. They send junk. They send prank stuff right in the trash. Just so you know. Okay. All right, later tonight, the late stream, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, all right? Skyrim After Hours. Ooh. And what we're going to do on the late stream tonight is we're going to continue on with the Dark Brotherhood questline and finish it. Apparently, we're in the home stretch. We've got like one more segment left, and then it's the conclusion of the Dark Brotherhood questline, okay? So I'm excited for that, and then after that, people seem to have been pushing me towards doing the Companions questline, which I haven't done in at the very beginning of the playthrough, back in like December, January, we ran into the Companions and never ever followed up with them. So I'm thinking we should do that. Like, we should maybe start start doing the Companions questline now, okay? So that'll be tonight on the Skyrim After Hours stream. Then on Monday, more Elden Ring. And let me tell you guys, we're in a very difficult segment. I'm fighting a very difficult boss. I'm actually a little disappointed because I was actually doing well fighting this boss. I was learning. I was like, oh, this is how you beat the first phase. Okay, here, I'm starting to learn the second phase. And I ran out of time. And I was like, son of a bitch, that stinks. Because I was getting ideas in my head of what to do. At the very end of the stream, I was like, oh, I'll change my amulets around again because those amulets weren't really working. So I'll do this and this instead of this. And I was like, shit, now I got to wait till Monday. It happens. So, Monday, we re-tackle Elden Ring. We try to beat this very difficult boss, endgame optional boss. See what happens after you beat him, because I'm sure I'm going to beat him, even though it might take hours. And then continue on with the game. We're in the ending areas of the game. One thing I do need to know, and I hope that you guys are going to help me with this, is what order to do stuff. I know people wanted me to do this optional area I'm in first, so that's why I'm doing it. But now, do I continue to search the area I'm in, the Wintry area? Do I go north, because I know on the map it says that's where the Halling Tree is? Is that where I'm supposed to go? Or are there other areas I'm supposed to go to? Because I know there's that city off to the east of the map that's floating, because we've been there before. When I was doing the 4 Belfries, it teleported you there. So I know that's what it is, but I've never been there. I don't know how to get there, if that's where I'm supposed to go. I'm like, how do I get there? What is that? What bearing does that even have on the story? I don't even know. You know? So I think I'm going to need some guidance when I start playing tomorrow on what to do next after I beat that boss, because I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't want to accidentally lock myself out of content. I've gotten this far doing literally all the major content of the game. The last thing I want to do is lock myself out of content after getting this far, okay? That would really suck. After like 100 hours and working this hard to do everything, and then, oh, you accidentally locked yourself out of an area of the game. Fucking, I would be so pissed. I would smash my controller to a million pieces. Okay, I wouldn't do that. They're too expensive these days. It's not like they used to be. These things are expensive now. But yeah, I hope I can find everything. I hope you guys will help me tomorrow with that, okay? Now, tomorrow night, Monday night, we begin a new rotating schedule of Game Pass games, all right? So how does it work? Well, basically what I'm going to do for my late night chill streams is thus. One night, we're going to do Skyrim, and one night, we're going to do a game off of Microsoft Game Pass Ultimate that I've already played, and you guys are interested in seeing me continue, all right? So the first game is going to be Monday night. The poll is currently live. Right now, if you head over to the main page of DSPGaming right here on YouTube and you go to the community tab, there's a poll. And the poll is as thus. I will read it to you. All right? The poll is, which Game Pass game would you like Phil to play first on Monday night? Good luck. And the options are as follows. Serious Sam 4. I Am Fish. The Forbidden City's final ending, which takes about 2 hours to do. The Outer Wilds. Or One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. Okay? So, this poll has now been live for 24 hours. Okay? And within that 24 hours, Currently, hold on. Currently, 1,200 people have voted. All right? And the voting is as follows. Serious Sam 4 has 16% of the vote. I Am Fish has 21% of the vote. The Forbidden Cities Final Ending has 13% of the vote. The Outer Wilds has 33% of the vote. And One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 has 17% of the vote. Now, before we come to any conclusions, that poll will continue to run another 24 hours and another half day until this actual stream goes live on Monday night. So there's still significant time for people to go and vote. When I've done polls on my YouTube page like this, I've seen upwards of sometimes 2,000 votes or more. So don't think that just because there's an early lead like this, that means that there's absolutely no chance that the results could change. They absolutely could. Now, I'm not saying I want them to change, because right now the Outer Wilds is in the lead. If for those who don't know what the Outer Wilds is, the Outer Wilds is a game where you are a space explorer. You jump into a spaceship, you launch your ass into the sky. I know that sounds silly, because it is. And you just start exploring your local solar system. There's many different planets you can go to, and each one's completely different. One of them's like a water world with a bunch of vortexes, but there's actually little things you can land on to explore. One of them's more like a moon, where it's like, kind of craterous, and you can either just explore the surface, or if you go under the surface, there's a cave system that you can explore and discover stuff in. One of them has like a space base on it, and you can explore the space base and try to solve puzzles in it. Now, the cool thing about it is that it's basically open exploration. You're supposed to solve the mystery of the solar system while you're exploring it. But the interesting thing about it is the solar system goes supernova about every 10 to 15 minutes. So you could only play this for like 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything's gone. And then what happens is the game resets, and you go back to your starting planet, and it starts all over again. The difference is if you have clues or information that you've discovered, you keep it. So it's an ongoing mystery. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. You die, you come back. Is it a roguelike? I mean, yes and no. I guess the base formula of a roguelike is a game where you die or restart repeatedly, but you retain things to keep going for future runs, and you keep learning more and getting better every run. So I guess in some ways it's a roguelike, but it's really not that. There's not really combat or anything. It's just exploration and trying to discover things within a set time frame. So, if the Outer Wilds ends up being the winner of the poll, I'm down for that. It's an interesting game for sure. However, what I will say is this. I will need help. The game is cryptic. It doesn't really explain what you're supposed to be doing or where you're supposed to be going. You're supposed to just kind of like explore endlessly. That doesn't really lend itself to an entertaining stream. When you're a streamer trying to find something that's interesting and you end up searching for 20, 30 minutes, you can't find it, that's boring. I don't want to be bored. I want to be entertained. So I hope that you guys who know about the game and who are voting for it will come to the stream tomorrow night and attend it and help guide me through the game so I know exactly where, at least give me a general direction. Go check this out, do this. The other thing is, I haven't played this since January. So in January, I remember we did a run of it and I found a bunch of stuff. I remember we had a clue about turning on some kind of an asteroid or a generator, and it was supposed to free up a spaceship that was stuck in an asteroid, and then you could go in the spaceship and you could find stuff. But I mean, this was months ago. I don't even remember. So I'm going to need help trying to do like a refresher course on the game and try to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing in the game. So when we play, it's not just me flubbing about and making zero progress. Because I really don't think that zero progress is going to be a very good playthrough. I think, kind of at least having a general idea of what to do would make more sense. Okay? So, if you like the Outer Wilds and you voted for it, please plan on being at the late night stream on Monday to help me out so we can get some progress in it. Now, if you haven't voted yet, now's your opportunity. Don't wait. Don't delay. Vote today. Head over to the community tab of the channel and vote. And if you're not interested in the Outer Wilds, there's many other games there to vote on. All right? Now, here's the way it's going to work. Okay? Whatever wins will be played on Monday night. I will then create a second poll, and this poll will have games on Game Pass, but not the game that wins. So if the Outer Wilds ends up winning, the Outer Wilds will be removed from the poll, and we will put in a different game from Game Pass into the mix. And I know for a fact there's at least one or two other games. I know Quake is one, where I've played it previously, you guys are interested, and we can now sneak that in, and now we run the poll again. Then you guys will be voting from Monday night all the way till Thursday night, when I'll have an opportunity to do the Game Pass stuff again, and you'll determine the next game, you see? And what we'll do is we'll keep that going in a rotation so that we have variety on the late streams of Game Pass games. If you get bored of one game, people can vote for a different one instead, you see? So I'm interested in how this will go. And by the way, if I notice, let's say, for example, the same games keep getting voted in, I won't put them in the poll for a bit. That way we still have variety, okay? Now, another possibility of a game that I did not play yet, but could be a Game Pass game, is MLB The Show 22. This was added as a Game Pass game this month. And I've played MLB The Show in previous years, and it's like the ridiculously ultimate chill game. You don't have to focus on it. You don't really have to even learn how to play baseball. You just stand there swinging at baseballs and you talk with the audience. It's fun. It's more of an interactive, chill thing. I don't really care if I do well, but if I do well, great. Then I advance and I have a career and I get drafted to the majors or whatever. But it's more about us kind of interacting and having conversation than anything else. I didn't want to do that right away, only because we have other Game Pass games that I've already started that I'd like to make some progress in. So I figured let's do those first. And then let's say after like a week, people want to see maybe MLB get added to the rotation of the polls, then I could do that. But for now, I'm holding off. I want to do some of the stuff we've already started, okay? Okay. Now, another big thing, everyone. This coming Thursday is Ask the King. The return. The epic return of my Q&A show. I used to call it a bi-monthly Q&A show, except I haven't done an episode since Christmas. So, essentially, it's been 4 months, right? It's been like a third of the year has passed, and I haven't done it yet. So, two important things. Number one, you can post up your questions right now on my forums on DSPGaming.com. How can you do so? Type !Ask the King into the stream chat, and a link will pop up that you can click on and post, or just go to DSPGaming.com. You'll find the thread easily in there in the general section. Please post up your questions. If you post up your question ahead of time, there's a dramatically improved chance I will answer it, because I'm going to review those questions during the day on Thursday, pick the best ones, and then answer them live on the show. But today, right now, I have something special if you're a member of this channel. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I started this last fall, and I'm going to continue on with this. Members get priority access, okay, to have their questions answered on the show. Right now, on the community tab of DSP Gaming, I'm creating a members-only poll. Or, excuse me, a members-only post. Here we go. Ready? Attention, all channel members. As a reward for supporting the channel, you get priority to have your questions, answered on Ask the King this coming Thursday, April 17th to 21st. Please respond to this post with your questions for the show, and there is a great chance they will be answered. Thank you so very much for the support. All right, so attention all channel members. As a reward for supporting the channel, you get priority access to have your questions answered on Ask the King this coming Thursday, April 21st. Please respond to this post with your questions for the show, and there's a great chance that they will be answered. Thank you so much for the support. It's going live right now. Boom. So if you're a member, please post up in response to that post with your questions for Ask the King. That'll be live as of today all the way through Thursday. So you have many days to think of questions and post them up for the show. Okay? In fact, when we did Ask the King back in December, more than half the show was members' questions. So, if you've been wondering what's a incentive to become a member, this is another one, okay? And I know this hasn't been one to really talk about the last few months because I haven't been doing Ask the King. But if you're a member, you get priority access to get your questions answered on the show. It's not a guarantee, but it's a dramatically increased chance I'll answer your questions on Ask the King, okay? So please post up if you're an existing member. If you're not an existing member, now's a great opportunity to become a member. What are the benefits of becoming a member? Number 1, highlighted name in stream chat and in comments on YouTube videos. Number 2, using all my emotes in stream chat and in the comments of my YouTube videos. Number 3, a chat crown badge to show how long you've been an ongoing supporter of the channel. It updates every few months to show the next level of support. When you actually hit your full 1-year anniversary, you get a really cool one. And some people soon, I think in May, will actually be hitting that full 1 year of support and will get that cool new crown coming up next month. Okay? In addition to all of that, you don't have to abide by the slow mode rules of the chat. You can talk as much as you want. You don't have a limit on how much you can say. In addition to all of that, as I just mentioned, when we do Ask the King, you get priority access to get your question answered live on the show. In addition to all of that, when we do special events, like for example, a viewer's choice event or a marathon, you will get priority access to nominate and vote on a game to get into that event. Members get their own nomination in there by themselves. While everyone else has to battle it out, 1,000 or more people all nominating and voting, you get your own members selection into the final poll for said event. Okay? So that's a lot of benefits for being a member. Please consider becoming a member if you have not. It's a great opportunity to support the channel. And if we hit the members goal for this month, which we're hitting the final countdown now, we got less than 2 weeks, guys. All right? If we hit the members goal for the month of April, oh my God, it's April. For the month of April, you guys know what I'm going to do, special event where I watch Down the Rabbit Hole Dark Side Phil. It's a video about me from 5 years ago that outlines my history, both good and bad. And it's a video that has over 6 million views on YouTube. And we're going to go through that piece by piece, analyzing it, commenting on it. I'm going to let you know the stuff that's accurate, which is a lot of it. I'm going to let you some of it that's not so accurate, but give you some more perspective and more background information on certain things. People have wanted to see me do this for many, 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 many years. And I'm finally going to do it as a reward. By the way, if this is successful, people have already said, well, would you watch the Down the Rabbit Hole episode on Wings of Redemption? Would you consider watching other videos about you? Maybe, but we have to see how the first event goes. People get so ahead of themselves. We have to hit the members goal this month. So we need 30 more members. Okay? Please consider becoming a member. Captain Charisma just became a member. That's what I like to see. There we go. Thank you to Captain Charisma. I'm actually curious. Did we increase our... I'm clicking all the wrong stuff. Did we increase our members this morning at all? I'll check. Let's see. Let's take a look here. No, we lost a member. We're at 369. I knew this was going to happen. I told you guys around the middle of the month, I know that there's a bunch of people who their memberships expire, and if they don't have it on auto renew, they drop off. This happens every month. So I knew this week we were going to have a bunch, and it's happened. It happened twice already this week, where we saw a decrease instead of an increase. Okay? So please consider becoming a member. We need to hit this goal. We've been trying to hit 400 for like 3 months. I know it's doable. I know it is. But, I'm trying to motivate you guys. I'm doing everything I possibly can. I'm giving you tons of perks, special events. Please consider becoming a member. All right? All right, give me 1 second here. I'm going to turn my fan on higher because actually the sun is very hot today. There we go. It's Final Fantasy IV. Jeez. Okay. Okay. Whew. Yeah, it's getting hot in here, so I'd have to turn the fan all the way up. I'm hoping I don't need the air conditioner soon. Some years I've needed the air conditioner around mid-April. So far, it's still cold outside. It's still like around the 50s outside. In fact, yeah, it's 52 outside right now. So I'd hope I'm not going to need the air conditioner anytime soon. But I don't know. Sometimes it gets really hot. Depends. I just will have to see. Okay. Okay. All right. Anyway, that being said, what else do we have to talk about today? Not a heck of a lot. I think we've covered a lot of topics. Here's what we'll do. Let's do shout-outs, and then we'll see if there's time for Q&A. All right? So we'll start off with the YouTube side of things. We start off with Penis Parker, who did a super chat saying, "Can I send you some hemorrhoid cream to help your cheeks after they get clapped by Elden Ring?" Well, Penis Parker, I appreciate the offer. However, the last time that I had hemorrhoids, because I got my butt clapped by a FromSoft game, I ate the whole tube and I still have hemorrhoids. So I don't think that the cream works. So I don't think you should send it. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, and then Captain Charisma had become a channel member. Thank you so much, Captain Charisma, for the membership and the support. Let's see here. Okay, on the tip side of things, the first tip today is from Anso Kamaru. He did the $1.50, and he says, "I feel sad that you're not able to play games from your childhood whenever you want. Every few years, I replay games like Final Fantasy X, Brave Fencer Musashi." That's a good one. I played that one back in the day on PS1. I loved it. Phoenix Wright Trilogy, Streets of Rage 2, etc. They hit just as hard as the first time. Yeah, like I said, these are games that I actually used to play back in the day over and over. All over the course of, like, the 2000s. I would play them, and, you know, it's funny because when I became a YouTuber and I started playing games on YouTube, I explained to everyone, well, a good era of games for me to probably play and have first-time genuine experiences would be the PlayStation 2 era. Because during the PlayStation 2 era, I was primarily a competitive fighting game player, meaning I would play Street Fighter at home on console, I would go to arcades, I would go to tournaments. That's what I was all into. I missed out on tons, a whole generation of gaming around that PS2 era because I was just so heavily into Street Fighter. But the one thing that I kept a staple was that I always found time to go back and play these classics. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Super Mario World, Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, and Final Fantasy 2 and 3, also known as Final Fantasy 4 and 6. Those are my overall staple games in my life. I could go back to them, pick them up, and play them at any moment and still enjoy them. And I used to do that all the time. Even not playing modern games, I would go back and find a way to play those particular games all the time. And I agree, it is a shame that now, since I became a content creator, right, I don't really play games outside of what you guys see on my streams. I'm already on the stream all day. The last thing I want to do is go off stream and play a freaking video game, you know? I'm purposely trying to disconnect myself from gaming when I walk away from my streams so that my life doesn't just become so much about games that I get bored of it, you see? And so, since I am trying to make content for an audience, I have to play stuff that the audience wants to see. And like I said, yeah, it definitely disheartened me a decade ago when people didn't like the Summer of Retro. I was like, wow, that opened my eyes that at that time, as a content creator, I was going to have to play things, all right, that were going to appeal to a widespread YouTube audience, because this was my job. If I didn't play things that appealed to a widespread YouTube audience, it meant less views, less revenue, and me basically going out of business. So I had to do that. I had to cater to that audience and what they wanted. Today, I have a varied audience. It's not just one group of people watching everything anymore. It's some people come for this kind of playthrough. Some people come for this kind of playthrough. Some people are here just for the podcast today, and they'll dip when the podcast is over. Some people will stay for Lego. Some people will show up tonight for Skyrim, but they weren't here for Lego. Tomorrow, a whole new audience will come back for Elden Ring. And these are all different groups that like my stuff. There undoubtedly will end up being a group of people who want to see the retro stuff. Whether it's because just on the fact that it's nostalgic, on the fact that these are games that I have history with, and unlike a normal playthrough, likely I won't rage at them, but instead I'll have innate knowledge of the games and actually be able to share lore and experiences, and you'll see the genuine joy of me playing those classics. It'll feel like a different kind of playthrough than my usual stuff. Whenever I play these classics, people say, wow, that's totally different. So there'll definitely be a base for that. You know what I'm saying? And that didn't exist back then. A decade ago, it was, well, either I appeal to the common YouTube viewer trying to watch my shit, or I might as well just be sitting in a corner talking to myself because no one watches it, you see? So there's, to some extent, Anso Kamaru, excuse me, things are different today to some extent. But I got to understand that I do have to appeal to an audience. I got to make a living, so I can't just play the classics. Right now, I can't just drop everything I'm doing and start playing Chrono Trigger. I got to find a time to fit it into the schedule along with other balanced stuff to make it work. You see? Okay. All right. Captain Charisma has tipped $1.50. Thank you, Captain Charisma. Let's get that. Actually, it was $1.49. Let's get that up on the leaderboard. Shit. Okay, he says, hey, DSP, with you starting WWE soon, maybe, I would love to offer to make you some basic designs for your creator wrestler for the career mode, maybe some custom gear and some parody logos like a DSP NWO logo or a DX logo as a callback to your fighting community days. Yeah, I would accept that. I would say let me make the character, only because that's something that I like to do when I play these games. I like to make the character from the ground up, and some years it looks way better than others, right? Let me make the character, but I would be open to different designs for the character. Like, right, if you wanted to make a t-shirt design or whatever, and you could upload it and let me know how to access it. I don't know, I don't have the game yet. But once I get the game, right, if I figure out how to access it at the, and get it off the created stuff, absolutely, I'd like to do that. And that would be pretty neat to have different designs and things that I could wear in different situations, or maybe a different point in the career you change your outfit or whatever, right? That'd be pretty neat. Okay. So thank you to Captain Charisma. I appreciate that, and yeah, that would be pretty neat, I feel. Okay? So we've pretty much finished shout-outs for contributions. That's all we've got so far today. But now I'm going to do some Q&A with the audience, and CG actually asked this question. An update on the ants. I woke up this morning and I found a few on my kitchen counter. For those who don't know, this week we had an ongoing issue with ants. All right? We had found a few over the past week or so in the dining room / kitchen area, usually, along the floor, walking on our hardwood, along a rug or along the edge of the room. And they're very small black ants. But it's annoying because we were finding more. We've got killed a few, then all of a sudden the next day we find more. What the hell killed them? Then we find more. This is not good. Sometimes we're actually finding a few walking together. That's not good at all. That means there's a trail coming in to try to grab food and go back to the nest. Okay? So originally, I put out 3 traps. These are little transparent plastic containers of, like, transparent sticky goo. And apparently this is supposed to be food for the ants. They eat it, but it's poison. They take it back to the nest. They kill off everyone in the nest. So that ends your problem. So originally I had put 3 traps out. And we thought, oh, that'll solve it. No, it didn't work at all. Okay? So what we did the other day is I killed a ton of them. Like, I must have killed over the course of the day like 30. And my wife said she killed like 15 or more. Okay? And then my wife did a thorough cleaning, meaning she took a vacuum, she took everything. She cleaned the shit out of the bottom floor. Every corner, every nook, every cranny. Killed more, cleaned it as much as she possibly could. Mopped the floor, everything. Then I went to the back of the house and I took a can of bug spray, ant spray. I said it right on it, ant. It was like ant, roach, and spider killer. And I went and I sprayed the back of the house. I sprayed under the back door, on the back door, all along the back area of the house to make a perimeter to the back of the house from these bugs. And then I doubled up and put more traps. Now there's 6 traps out downstairs in our house. There's like 2 in the kitchen. One's right near the trash can. One's in the kitchen itself. And then there's like one at the back door. And then there's one at a rug around the side of the room. So they're basically everywhere. Okay? So we went one day when we first had this problem. There was like 30, 40 ants we killed. Okay? The next day, we saw 2 ants. Killed them both. We're very diligent looking around. Didn't really see any. Yesterday, we saw 0 ants. 0. Now, that doesn't mean that there's none. It either means that they're hiding very well, or we've definitely nipped this problem in the butt. I think the key was, number 1, the deep cleaning, because it got rid of whatever was hiding. And number 2, spraying the back of the house. Because I think those ants were trying to come in from, obviously, an anthill in the backyard somewhere. And now that there's a perimeter at the back of the house of bug spray, they're not going to go near that. They're going to smell that and be like, oh, and get the hell out of there. And so what I'm going to do is every day I'm going to go out there and spray, and I'm going to buy a new can of bug spray on Tuesday, and I'm going to do it again for another week. I figure if you do it for a week or 2, hopefully that's enough to keep them at bay. If we start noticing them again, we're just going to do it again. Okay? But seems like it's working. As of, yesterday we saw 0 ants. This morning, walked around, looked, didn't see any ants. So I think we may have gotten it taken care of. Okay. So there's your update on the ants. That was very exciting. Okay. All right, guys, anything else to talk about? We still got about roughly, 15 minutes or so before I would normally start gameplay. Any questions? Swaggin says, with you being an entertainer, I find it more fun watching you play games you have never played than a replay of a game you already know what to expect. Well, there you go. Different strokes for different folks, right? Ellipsian says, do you remember that the retro event was actually when the first This Is How You Don't Play was made because of the event? It was? No, I don't think that's true. The first This Is How You Don't Play was Metal Gear Solid 2. Yeah. The first you had Ret Super Eye. And those guys were guys that went around and lampooned like everyone. It wasn't just me. They went around to all kind of popular Let's Players and made fun of them. The problem was that I had a bunch of toxic haters who were just looking for something like that. And when it happened, they were like, oh, look, here's some notable content creators making fun of Phil. Let's latch onto that and make it toxic and insulting. So, yeah, basically, when I played Metal Gear Solid 2, someone else saw that Ret Super Eye had become popular and said, I'm going to do the same thing but for the entire playthrough. And made an insanely long montage-style video of the worst parts of the playthrough, which is most of it. And and that went viral. But it was not the retro games that I was playing that summer. It was Metal Gear Solid, which is funny because you say not the retro games, but that's retro. To me, it wasn't. Like, to me, retro is like SNES or NES or Genesis. That's like PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 is not retro to me in any way. No, we don't have a special Easter dinner planned for today. We don't. We didn't even remember that it was Easter until last night when someone said it. Oh, Ret Super. Oh, it's not Ret Super. It's Ret Supre. It's pronounced how a Chinese person might say let's play. So it's racist? You've got to be kidding me. I never knew that was racist until this very moment. The entire basis of that series is racist. Wow. But I'm the one that gets the criticism, right? Because I used to do voices and things like that in my content. These guys made a whole fucking series that was racist. But I'm the one who got the hate. I'm serious. This is the first time I even knew that. Someone just said it. They said, it's not Ret Super Eye, it's Ret Supre. And it says like a Chinese person would say, that's racist. Wow, I'm incredibly insulted. I really am. Now I'm going to go watch the intro to my Dynasty Warriors playthrough. I was just as bad back then. Seriously, I was just as bad back then. Everyone was stupid back then. I don't think anyone's going to hold it against someone who made a series 10 years ago that was racist like that. I mean, my shit was that bad too. So I'm not going to say, oh, you don't throw stones when you're standing inside of the glass house, right? Like, are you a fucking asshole? So there you go. All right. So Captain Charisma tipped me $1 for these. I can email you some logos, then you can upload them to your own account, or you're going to need to make a 2K account so you can access cross-platform creations. I made the NWO logo as a test. Oh, cool. I mean, you can email them to me, or you can wait. I mean, I'm not playing it yet. Maybe hold off. If you email it to me now, chances are I'm not even going to remember or find it. I would say hold off. I'll let you guys know when I'm starting WWE 2K because you'll see I'm getting to the end of Elden Ring, end of Lego. That's when I'm going to start it. And then I'll let you know, hey, let's get this stuff going. But for now, I would say hold off. Don't email it to me now because I might just get it lost. There's too much going on. You know how many emails I get a day? Holy fuck. Okay. I can't believe I'm just realizing now that entire series was racist. Wow. All right. Rob on Wheels just upped his membership for a full year. Super supporter, man. He says, thank you so much for being there for me for a long time and for your support for the disabled community. You are welcome, Rob on Wheels. I do as much as I can, and I wish I could do more when it comes to the accessibility of my content and my videos. I do my best, turn on subtitles, right? Turn on any kind of thing that can help people when it comes to that. trying to put out schedules and things in multiple formats. You got a print format, you got an audio format. I try to do things so that people can get access to all my stuff as easily as possible. All right? I've always been a proponent of accessibility in gaming, so why not accessibility in content creation and being able to enjoy the content as much as anyone else, right? I'm all for it. There you go. Wow, racist. The whole series was racist. I can't believe that. The entire series was racist. Wow. Okay, anyway. That really is a dawning. I always thought it was Retsuperai, which I didn't know what it stood for. And they're like, oh no, that's Retsupre. Oh, that's so bad. That's way more cringeworthy than the shit I used to do. The entire series was called that? And it was made by a bunch of white guys? Oh, it's so problematic. Oh. Wow. Wow. Wow, it's blowing my mind. All right, guys. Anything else to talk about? We still got some time. Do I own a PS2? Any good memories with the console? Says Parasolo. I think I still have a PS2. I don't know if it's functional. I haven't used it in many years. I think it's in storage in the hallway across here. At one point, I owned 3. I owned the early model PS2, which is the big boy. And then I owned some of the smaller, slim flip tops. The reason I had so many is because I used to run tournaments. And when I ran tournaments in the second half of the 2000s, most games had definitive editions on PS2. Both Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, as well as Capcom vs. SNK 2, both had their best versions on PlayStation 2, and then there were many versions of Super Turbo that were released for PS2 as well. So PS2 was a multi-system or multi-use console. You could run a bunch of different games on it if you were running a tournament. So I owned a bunch of them, okay? Now, what's my experience with the console? Not much. I didn't really play that many PS2 games besides Street Fighter. Like I said, that era of games, I wasn't really into the console games at all. I was just traveling to play Street Fighter constantly, going to arcades, playing on console. You know, that was it. That was my experience at that era. It was heavy Street Fighter playing. So I don't have, like, I couldn't even tell you classics from that era. I've played a lot of them over the years. You guys have told me which ones they were, and then I played them. But I missed out on a lot of them because I was just so into competitive Street Fighter at that time, around early to mid 2000s. So, okay. Yeah, Jak and Daxter, I didn't play it back in the day. No. It wasn't until these remaster collections came out for the more modernized consoles during my, early years of content creation. You guys say, hey, play the Jak and Daxter collection. Play the Ratchet and Clank collection. Play the Metal Gear collection, right? And then I went and played them. Okay. This Justice, I'm playing Ratchet and Clank Collection right now. Nice. All right, guys. Anything else? Any other questions? Any other things for the pre-stream? And this pre-stream had very low attendance compared to usual pre-streams, likely because we're doing Lego today. I'm not surprised. Hopefully more people will watch it on demand because the Easter stuff was kind of fun. What's the name of this segment called? Q&A. Did I hear about SNK being bought out? No, I did not. Didn't hear a single thing about that. I'm not telling you about any mobile games I play because if I said a word about any mobile games that I actually do play, unlike the ones that they make conspiracy theories about that I don't play, but if I actually told you about any mobile games I did play, they would just make conspiracy theories about them and make it worse. So I'm never mentioning that. Not even a chance. Thank you, Jade. Happy Easter to you as well. Appreciate that. PR says probably because of Easter and people are with their families. No, they're absolutely incorrect. No one spends time with their families anymore. That's a thing of the past. Everyone's right here, man. That's their life. No, I didn't hear about your barber, Philip. Sorry about that. Didn't hear about your barber. Hopefully he's all right or she's all right. Just listen to this. Do you did something to stop balding you never mention again? Do you did something to learn how to speak English? Holy shit, dude. No, I'm not currently doing anything about balding. I am balding in one spot, the back of my head right here. You guys don't usually see it. That's actually where I'm losing hair. Up here, I'm actually not. It's funny because someone posted up a headline. A headshot is what I meant to say. Of me 10 years ago. And then actually posted it up now. And they posted it head to head on Twitter. I look exactly the same, except my face is a little bit like different because of the gray hairs in my beard. But seriously, outside of that, my hairline is exactly the same as it was 10 years ago. It's bad. I mean, it's not even. I know. But I actually haven't, like, reduced my hairline at all. It's actually just back here, which you guys don't see. I actually do have a spot that's balding. But, no, I don't do anything about it. Maybe one day I will. Maybe one day I'll just buy a can of spray paint. I'll go, shh. There you go. That'll solve the problem. Thoughts on Deus Ex, Human Revolution, and Mankind Divided? They're good games. I like them. No, I do not snoof the pants. Sorry about that. Banjo-Kazooie versus Tooie. I mean, they're both good. I mean, Tooie obviously had some gameplay improvements, but I'm sure some people have more nostalgia towards the first game. They're both alright. I wasn't in love with them, but I didn't hate them either. I thought they were alright. Where do I get my haircut at? Well, we wait for the landscapers to come by. They just lift up the weed whacker, and I go, oh, I lean back, and it goes, so maybe that's why I have the bald spot, because maybe I'm leaning back a little too far, and zoop, it's taking the extra off. Could be. Jade, you did not miss much. If you were not here yesterday's stream, you missed Elden Ring. A lot of challenging endgame stuff in Elden Ring. Tough bosses and dungeons. But nothing too memorable besides one unique boss that I didn't beat, so you'll get to see him again tomorrow. Yeah. Last night, we finished Kirby, which is insanely hard and rage-inducing. And then I did some Q&A. So. That's correct. Rage quitting means finishing the game. If you say I'm done with this game, you're done with it. It's done. I beat the game already. It was post-game challenging content that I was attempting that is completely optional and has nothing to do really with the story. What I was doing was the optional Coliseum, which is a major pain in the ass and doesn't really add anything besides the final challenge of the game. So, no, I barely use Instagram. Very rarely do I use Instagram. Almost never. There was a time when I used it a lot, and now, like, insanely rarely. Because what it is, I used to post up a lot of pictures. Now I almost post up nothing. Nope, no, I do not go to concerts. No. What was my favorite Lego game before this one? I remember Lego Lord of the Rings was really good. It was a fun co-op game, too. See, the Lego DC games were alright. But I wasn't in love with them. I think Lego Lord of the Rings, maybe. Although, excuse me, the Lego Indiana Jones trilogy was nice. I never played it online for you guys. Like, I never showed it. I never recorded it. But that was a trilogy that had a lot of, you know, the music and everything from the original Indiana Jones movies. And they were pretty easy to get a lot of the achievement points. That's when I was doing a little bit of achievement hunting off the camera. So, there you go. Thoughts on ham sandwiches? They're delicious. I think about doing any giveaways. I don't have anything to give away. Oh, Jeremy, I know. He says, I know people in their 30s who are fully bald, so you're good when it comes to hair loss. Listen, I know how lucky I am. My cousin and my uncle both went bald in their 20s to 30s. My cousin was completely bald by the end of his 20s, and my uncle went almost fully bald in his mid-30s. So I'm lucky that I retained my hair and as well as I have. I'm very lucky because this could all be going away, and it's not right now, which is a good thing. Thoughts on Deus Ex Human Revolution 10 years later? It's good. It's a good game. What's my favorite game I 100% completed? I honestly don't even remember that many that I 100% completed. Sly Cooper 2, Spider-Man, the new one on PlayStation 4, Bloodborne. I'll go with Bloodborne. Bloodborne. There you go. I platinumed Bloodborne. Will I do actual Lego building on stream? No. Have I ever thought of selling farts in a can? No. Favorite type of ice cream? No. Oh. Anything with, like, first of all, I like chocolate and chocolate fudge. So is that kind of, anything with chocolate fudge is good. I like mint chocolate chip. I like pistachio ice cream. Those are some of my favorites. I don't have a favorite, but those are some of my favorites. No. Do you have any holiday traditions with Kat? We do stuff for Christmas time, but that's about it right now. Our lives are so hectic. Like I said, it's Easter today. We didn't even realize it till last night when someone said it on my stream. I was like, it's Easter tomorrow? Holy shit. Snickers ice cream at Baskin Robbins. I'm assuming that's pretty good. I used to have the Snickers ice cream bars from the grocery store. Oh my god, those are so insanely good. Would I consider playing the Dragon Age Inquisition DLCs? No. I'm not going to do that. It's too late. Favorite type of dog? The wiener dog. Would I adopt one? I don't know. Maybe in the future. Not really considering it right now. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Stretch. Ooh, stretch. That is it for the PreStream podcast. I'm just kidding. That's it for the PreStream podcast. Thanks for joining us. Oh, thank you to Elsky, who re-upped his membership for a full year. He says, Happy Easter, Phil. So okay, I should say this to end the podcast. There's an interesting thing on YouTube. YouTube says you're a 1-month member the moment you become a member of the channel. Doesn't make sense. You just joined. How could you be a 1-month member, right? Because I've noticed in the last couple of days, some people are becoming 12-month members, and you guys are like, oh, that's a year. Doesn't that mean my chat crown badge should upgrade to the 1 month or the 1 year version? No, because it doesn't actually upgrade to the 1 year version until you've actually been a member for a year. But what's happening is you guys are re-upping your memberships and starting your 12th month. Because if you remember, I didn't become a full-time streamer on YouTube until May of last year. So you can't technically get the new chat crown until next month. Even though it's saying, oh, you're a 12-month member, technically you're entering the 12th month, and you don't earn the better chat crown until you start the 13th month. Understand? And I apologize for that. It's confusing. I know it is. It's actually different on Twitch. It's different here on YouTube, so that's how it works. So next month, those who've been ongoing members for an entire year should be getting their new chat crown badges. Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm done with questions. I don't know why you're still asking. Thank you. That's it for the PreStream podcast. Let's end the show, and let's get started with Lego Star Wars.